Helen Ortiz Turley is an accomplished professional bodybuilder and real estate agent here in Kansas City. Her journey to our city started in Bananera, Guatemala, when as a young 17-year-old with a child made the ultimate sacrifice to come to the United States and leave her son behind. That is just the beginning of her story, which is one of perseverance, inspiration, and true grit. Helen eventually made her way back to Guatemala when she was asked to represent her home country competing in bodybuilding. We cannot wait for you to hear Helen talk about her experience directly from the heart and soul of Mrs. Helen Ortiz Turley. This is Enterrupt KC. Enjoy this episode.
Welcome back to Enterrupt KC, the podcast dedicated to people, places, and things right here in Kansas City. I'm your man D-Rod. This is JL. We got once again Nick behind the scenes checking out them screens and the audios. Make sure we good, man.
Mm-hmm. So what's up, man? How's things going?
Things are going good, man. Things are going real good, man.
I was reflecting, man. Not to cut you off,
Yeah,
but
no.
man, do you know it is June 15th is when we're recording this episode.
Okay.
And I think our very first content release was January 12th or 13th, somewhere. So all to say, we've been doing this for 6 months now.
6 months.
6 months, man. And I don't know if you could feel it, but I can feel it, man.
I kind of feel it. Man. It's good. It seems like time goes by, right?
Oh,
They say
man.
when you're having fun, man.
It does.
We dropped a few shorts, kind of giving a shout out to our guests and everything, which is a great thing, man. And, just appreciate our audience out there, man. All you guys listening, liking, subscribing, sharing, Hey, man, this is what we do it for. You know what I mean, right?
Yeah, and so everyone knows, who are watching this, and they're probably going to get into a couple of weeks and be like, where'd they go?
Yeah.
We probably should tell people, we're actually going to take a little bit of a break in July.
Yeah, we got a lot of things going on.
We got to take a vacation, man. We got to do something, man. We actually do have jobs outside of this, everybody. So,
it's hard to believe, right?
Hard to believe.
Yeah.
But, man, I don't know, man. Is there anything you want to talk about? Shane?
Yeah, man. There's a touchy subject, man, I wanted to kind of bring up, and talk to. Somebody reached out to me, man, and I wanted to give a little bit of awareness, There was a woman who was killed by careless driving, and I think that's been an ongoing issue. And I wanted to give a little shout out to this woman, man. Her name was Graciela Morelo Angel. She was hit by a car. Somebody who wasn't paying attention, man.
Man, rest in peace.
Rest in paradise, man, for sure. I feel bad. Her story can be found online. She came here, her husband, man, his name is Fabian Angel, and he's from here, he came up here, lived, avid Kansas City fans, man, represent Chiefs all the way down there, man. They got three beautiful daughters, Monique, Selena, and Nicole. She left them, but the main deal is that there's people are speeding out on these roads, man.
Right.
And I even wanted to bring to light that even here in Kansas City, it's a tragedy, man, careless speeding, man, and all that. But I think that a lot of people, even everybody has witnessed it some way, shape, or form. Somebody speeding past you, racing, going over. I think even here last weekend, man, they celebrated First Fridays, and it was on the news.
It's everywhere. Yep.
It was on the news that they were, doing donuts and doing all that, and somebody I think even got hurt there. So. Sense of speeding, man. I just wanted to kind of bring that to life for our audience, man. Anybody who has been impacted by that, just like Fabian and his daughters and his family who are from here, also that miss Graciela tremendously, man.
Rest in peace, Graciela, man.
Rest in peace, man.
And thank you to the family, because I know they you talk to them, or they talk to you, and then they
Yeah.
kind of reached out just on the whole, and they're like, hey man, can you guys talk about this?
Yeah.
But it's an important subject, man, and I see this stuff happen, man, too much. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
So
It was on the rise. I did a little bit of just to talk briefly about it. It's on the rise. So far this year, we're in June, like you said. We've been doing this for 6 months, half a year, and this time last year, man, there was 32 deaths caused by careless driving. Right now, we're at 44.
wow.
So it's an increase, man. So, anybody and everybody, let's put their phones down, man, and let's pay attention to what we're doing. There's a lot of people
dying, man.
There's a lot of innocent people dying, man, and just shout out love and respect, man, to this Angel family, man. Fabian and his daughters, and rest in paradise to Graciela, man. The love is here, man.
Absolutely. Thank you, D-Rod, man, for talking about that, man. It's an important subject, and
sure.
one of many, that impact the community, here in Kansas City. So appreciate that, man. We have such an incredible guest today, D-Rod.
Yes, we
and I
do,
just
man.
cannot wait to get into this woman's story, because
Tremendous.
the stuff that I read is so powerful. It's inspiring. It's motivational. And so I think we just need to interrupt our guest, man.
Man, 100%, man. This woman has done it, man.
And by interrupt, we mean introduce our guest, none other than the badass herself, Helen Ortiz Turley. How are you doing?
Welcome.
Thank you so much, first of all, to everyone here, all of that crew for Enterrupt KC, for thinking of me as a badass, like you said.
Absolutely.
Thank you for the platform that you're giving to everyone here for different stories in Kansas City. We really appreciate it, and I am certainly very grateful for having this opportunity to come and share my story with people again.
Well, we're glad that you decided to join us, and we know Dennis. Shout out Dennis.
Man.
Dennis reached out early on, right?
Yeah,
D-Rod? He was like, hey, you guys are about capturing stories. You need to talk to my mom. And we were like, okay, let's do it.
I remember when I met Dennis, man. I was down at the Guadalupe Center, man. It was some fundraiser going on down there, and man, it was kind of funny because I was standing there waiting in line, and there was this guy who walked by, and he turned around, he looked at me, and he was like, and me being me, man, I was like, man, who's this dude looking at me, man, right?
That sounds like my son.
Yeah. So I was kind of like, who's this guy? And then he was like, hey, man, you're a podcast. And that was one of the, I was like, oh, man, okay, cool. What's up, man? Nice
and
meet
Dennis
you.
is looking a little mafioso every now and then, so you're kind of like, what's
beard,
what's going on? He's jacked.
Deep sunglasses.
He's jacked.
Shout out
Dennis, man.
Yeah, he's my biggest fan. My son has been by my side, and he's my biggest fan.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, Helen, listen, we're Enterrupt KC. We're all about trying to capture the story of individuals, but not just their origins and things like that. Kind of what you're doing, what you're involved in today. So what we like to do is just kind of start off at the very beginning as best as we can. You know what I mean? So we know you're from Guatemala.
Yes.
But talk about that, your childhood. Where are you from exactly in Guatemala?
Okay, so I'm 100% Chapina. That's what they call us, Chapins. Okay. So I was born in a very small town, Bananera. And Bananera is the name came from. That's where the banana plantations back in the days of United Fruit Company, Chiquita Banana, and all that. So Bananera was the banana fields where everybody worked. Yeah. In the city, that's where my dad used to work, and so I grew up in a tiny town, in Guatemala, and up until the age of 17 when I decided to. I had a little boy, 2 years old. That's my Dennis. Exactly. And, I had to, Guatemala is beautiful, but there was no future.
Yeah.
And I owed it to myself first and for my son to find a better future. And so made the decision to chase that American dream that we all talk about. And
Did you have siblings and your mom and dad? I mean, what did that look like, Helen?
I had my mom and my grandma.
Okay.
At that time, and one little sister. Okay. I only have one sister. So, I was, like I said, I was 17, and my son was 2, and I was working in the only medical facility in our town, making $50 a month.
Wow.
That was, and there was nothing that I could do with that, and looking at my little boy, and I'm like, you know what, I gotta figure something out. And coming to America was like everybody was doing, hearing all these stories, how great it was, and all the opportunities. So
for sure.
I talked to my mom, and I told her I have to leave. I'm gonna leave my son with you.
What year is this?
That was in 1986.
Okay.
1986. I left Guatemala on April 23rd of 1986.
Wow.
And I remember saying goodbye to my little boy. Not knowing when I will see him again, or
That's
if
a
I will
hard
see him
thing.
again. Very.
That's a hard
And you were
thing.
so young too yourself.
Yeah. I had $80 to my name.
Wow.
Yeah, $80 when you left to try and make it here.
Correct. And a friend from Nicaragua, that she had friends in San Francisco, and so that's where our destination was, San Francisco.
Right.
And we embarked on that journey
That
across.
long journey.
Yeah, it's like close to 3,000 miles on that train, La Bestia. You guys know about it, that's where we.
So those people that do not know about that train, will you give a little description about that?
Oh, absolutely. We made it to the other side of the border from Guatemala to Mexico, and once in the Chiapas area, that's where we jumped on the train. And it's like you see hundreds, thousands of people on top of the train.
Wow.
You become friends with people that have done it so many times, and then people like us that we were so scared we had never. And I remember some of the guys on the train saying they gave us a belt and said, you guys need to belt yourself down because you can't fall asleep. You fall, you'll be dead. And that's what happens. That's what is called el tren de la muerte. Because if you fall, you die, you lose arms, legs, and that happens to thousands of immigrants that come across.
Wow.
So we made it all the way to close to Guadalajara, and that's where we got off the train, and we were so hungry. We had no money at that point, just really praying and relying on strangers to give us something to eat.
Right.
And we continue our journey from there to Mexicali. Calexico, Mexicali, which is the border.
Did you map like all this out beforehand?
Oh,
Or, like,
direction.
God,
did
no.
you know where you were going?
Not at all. I mean, literally, you just
north.
Go north, and you ask questions. You run into so many people that are on the same journey that you
Right.
are, and like I said, some of them have done it so many times before. They have been sent back. And so you just rely on people to help you through that journey.
Right.
And,
And I imagine like trust is a huge deal in that situation.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of times you probably got burnt with the people doing you wrong.
you have to trust, but you don't trust, if it makes sense.
Right.
Because there's so many people that have hidden agendas, especially when they see a
young.
young girls,
Right.
naive, with nothing, with no one. It was at the moment, you don't really, the adrenaline, you don't think about it.
Yeah, you're anxious. You're
Exactly,
ready to go.
just making it. And so when we got to the border, my friend didn't make it. We were along the border where the fence was, right? And you see hundreds of people just lined up on the side on the fence, watching the patrol cars on the other side, and just waiting for them to make a move so that you can jump the fence.
This is the border patrol.
The border
They're
patrol,
watching. Yeah,
exactly.
got you.
So I get to the other side, I jumped, and she didn't make it. So
What do you mean she didn't make it?
she got caught.
Oh, she got
So
caught.
I
Okay, okay.
saw her.
Okay, I was thinking there was something
Yeah,
really
yeah,
bad
yeah. I
at
was
that.
like,
Well,
oh, man.
though, but it was scary for several years because I just remember she was being handcuffed, taken back And for years, I didn't know anything about her.
Yeah,
I didn't know if she never made it back to Guatemala. Nobody had seen her, so I was fearing the worst. And it wasn't until maybe 5 years ago or so through Facebook that we got reacquainted.
5 years ago from
Yes, from all this time. She lives in Oregon and is very well established. She made it back, and we just kind of lost, and social media wasn't what it is nowadays. So, but so there I am on the other side of the border. I was sick. I was hungry. I was alone. I had no idea what I was going to do.
Right.
And I remember running into a restaurant, hiding from, everybody's running in all different directions. And
where did you cross exactly?
Calexico.
Oh, okay.
Mexicali, Calexico border. So I am on the other side of the fence, and I am running for my life. I go into this restaurant.
From the patrol.
Correct. Okay. There were so many of them. That's what people told me. Because we all gonna jump as a group. Yeah. Some of us will make it.
They ain't gonna get them all.
Exactly. So I was the one that got away.
Yeah.
So
young and quick.
Exactly. Man. So I'm there in the restaurant hiding. I waited a while to go back out, and so I'm sitting on the sidewalk. I'm just like, what am I gonna do? And I remember this couple came out with a box, leftovers. And Pizza Hut was my first meal in the States, and by God, it was amazing. A piece of pizza.
That was probably when Pizza Hut was really good. The only real major pizza chain in the United States.
Yeah, you're right, absolutely. So that was my first meal in America, and from there, I didn't know what to do. I just I think that everything happens for a reason in life,
Sure.
And I always said that God is the greatest chess player ever. He puts people exactly. And when I left home, for some reason, I had a phone number of a friend of mine that went to high school with me, elementary school, high school, and he had come to America years before. His mother was well established already in California, and so for some reason I just brought his number with me. But we had not had any communication in years.
Right.
He didn't know that I was coming or nothing. But once I found myself on the other side and not having a place to go, so I called that number. I asked people to help me. I didn't know how to use a phone. I didn't know that I needed money to call from a payphone. So, but God placed people in my path that were absolutely wonderful, good people. Yes, God has always been on my side. That I know for sure. Yeah. And so I made that phone call, talked to his mother, and she remembered me. I'm like, hey, this is Helen. My mom is the Yolanda, and my father so, and my grandmother. And so she remembered. She said, absolutely. And where are you? And she said, please call back after 4 is when Johnny gets, his name is Johnny, Johnny gets home, and we'll figure out a way to help you. Yeah. So I had to wait around in that little town where I was, and 4 o'clock came, and I called back, and he was there, and, he remembered me, and so he made that drive from L.A. to Calexico to pick me up.
Oh, wow.
So Helen, you had to adjust your plan right there, right? You had to call somebody, but you were with a friend initially. Like, what was the actual plan coming in? Was there another plane coming in?
Oh, yeah. The original plan was we were going to San Francisco with her family, and they were going to help us to get jobs, and we had a place to go. All that was the plan.
Everything was set up until she got busted.
Everything was set up until she got caught, and I was left by myself. Exactly.
And you didn't have their contact or nothing.
Oh, I didn't know.
Was gone.
I didn't know any of their family at all.
And how? What was that time? That duration time from when you left until you did cross the border, or even more so when you got to?
Oh, yes.
How long did that take?
I left Guatemala on April 23rd. I didn't make contact with my mother until early June.
Wow.
So it took a long while for me, because I had to actually, when I got to Guadalajara and Mexicali, before we crossed the border, we had to work to make money and be able to eat. And there was an older couple that we met in the Mexicali area that gave us a place to be, this little shack that had no floors. It was like dirt, and it just had a little shack. I remember sleeping in there in a blanket and waking up with dust on my lips, and it was like I can only chew on the dust, you know.
Yeah,
But they were
right.
very sweet, and they let us
helped
stay
you
there
out.
until we crossed the border. So it was a journey. It was, you know,
Did you ever keep track of their names and anything like that?
God, you know, I wish I would have. I don't remember now, you know.
Well, you
these
were so
people.
young.
Probably
so
weren't
at that
thinking
time,
about that.
E- exactly.
You're not thinking about it,
Yeah.
you know, but
Yeah, and it was amazing how people, you know, that have
willing to help.
and people that have nothing are the ones that are willing to give the most.
You know, that's kind of something
That's
kind of
true.
common, man.
Man.
Like, you know, you hear about stories like that. You see people that do that. I think they've even done some type of surveys where they've done that with homeless people, man.
Right. Yeah. Well, if you see the videos where they'll give a homeless person like a pizza,
Yeah.
and they'll find a way to go divvy it up and give it to other
They'll
people.
share it. Yeah, they go
And
share
you know,
it.
like that's what's crazy. I mean, it's such a
Touching, man.
touching, yeah, but also like, man, I mean, you're a young female, you look your young son in the eye and your family, and you're like, I have to go do this. So I guess, you know, my wonder in this, Helen, is what was that final like straw, you know, that incident that you were like, I can't stay here.
Was there a
I
certain
have to go
childhood
do something.
memory that happened?
Yeah.
For me,
Yeah.
it
Or
my childhood was very rough. You know, I had a alcoholic, very sick father. That's another story that
Yeah.
someday
Yeah.
needs to be told.
Sure.
But for me, the decision, the factor was my son. I wanted him to have the opportunity to something that I didn't have. Like all of us, you know, if you have
Yeah,
children, you know
yeah.
that
Wow.
you always want to give your kids to have something better. And
Yeah.
I remember looking into my son's, he was such a happy kid, and, you know, and I couldn't give him much of anything. And I also thought, you know, that I owed it to myself to better myself and get a better future.
Yeah. And the stories are there about coming, right? The
They are.
stories there.
Exactly. Yes.
People saying. I mean, we all know it too. That people that come in to support their family.
Oh, yeah.
Back and send money back. So I'm sure
Absolutely.
that's happened.
Oh yeah, and then you know, like I am so grateful that I have the opportunity, you know, like with you guys and other opportunities that I've had to tell my story, because my story is the story of a lot of us.
Yeah.
Most
Yeah,
of
a
the
lot of
immigrants,
people.
everyone, you know.
Well,
so,
it's a success story by far.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
thank you.
I mean, the fact that you made it, number one, I mean, I think, you know, that's one of the underappreciated things that people don't understand about migrants, you know, is coming. I mean, think about like what they're actually leaving. I couldn't imagine, Helen, looking at either of my sons when they were 2 or younger and saying, I have to leave you and go do something. I don't even know if I'm going to make it.
Yeah.
But it's all
Yeah.
for the better purpose.
Absolutely.
So talk about that. I mean, you know, for people who don't understand how many people are doing that.
Absolutely. You know, I was talking to somebody else interviewed me about it in one of the, when I did a segment for Her Life magazine. And that was one of the questions that they asked, you know, in my answer is that I told her, I said, you know, I would love to have someone take a trip to my country when they don't know anyone, they don't speak the language, they don't have the means to do anything. Leave your family here and see how you do, you know?
Yeah.
And we are not here by choice. I mean, it is a choice, yes, but it's not a choice that you would want to make. It's a choice that you have to make.
There you go.
Yeah.
And that's what people don't understand, that how, I mean, what in a right mind a person is going to walk away from family for everything you know, everything you love, to the uncertain.
Right.
You know, it's because you have a huge need.
Yeah.
And you know, and people, and we want a better future. So I just ask people to be a little bit more kind about it, you know.
Keep an open mind for sure.
Exactly.
You know, keep an open mind.
Yes,
100%.
that more than anything, don't be so quick to judge. And, you know, I remember a situation, I was at the gym doing cardio, watching the news with all the immigrants lined up, you know, at the border, all the situation that is going right now. And I have I wanted to cry because it just kind of takes me back to, those days. And then I hear this person talking like, why are all these fools coming here for? I had to stop, and I stopped him, and I said, do you have any idea what you're talking about?
Wow.
I said, I would love for you to be in a situation where you have to leave your family behind. And he was just kind of stop and look at me, and he apologized, But people talk about things that they don't have a clue about,
Yeah, 100%.
But it's our responsibility to
check.
to put it out there, put them on check, and not so much just to show them why and why are we here.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I mean, so you got to this family you knew in Los Angeles, is that
Correct,
what you say? So
correct.
you're in Los Angeles. I mean, you're young, and what did that first couple of years look like for you? What were you doing?
Boy, what I was doing, it was really rough. I mean, first of all, I missed my family tremendously.
Was there any way that you could reach out to them?
It was, yes. By the time that I finally made it to LA and I was with this family, they helped me. I stayed at their house, and all I wanted was to work. I wanted to send money home and help the family. And it's funny. You think about it now that when you don't know, it's just like.
Yeah.
But they are you guys familiar with Los Angeles, LA, MacArthur Park? So
A little bit.
so that's where you used to go to buy a Social Security card.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so they took me there to get my papers to get a job, right? And I have no clue what's going on. I'm just following whatever they tell me.
Yeah.
And also they will you will buy series of numbers that you will pay $20 or whatever, and that number was good for you to go to a payphone and call another country and be on the phone for a little. Yeah, I didn't know where the number came from, but it was very, very useful at the time. So finally I was able to call my mother, after April, May, June. She thought the worst.
Right.
With everything that was happening with people coming across the border, she was very worried that I was dead or kidnapped or anything like that. So it was a very emotional moment to let my mother know.
Yeah.
And hear my little boy's voice, and mommy, where are you? And so that was very difficult, but at the same time was an incentive for me to try harder and to.
Well, you knew what was going to be next.
Absolutely, I couldn't. I didn't go through all that to give up.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's.
That's like the beginning almost.
Oh,
right?
I thought that the worst was over. No, that wasn't the worst. It was to adapt to a complete new life. I didn't speak a word of English. I had never worked in my life. I didn't have any experience in anything that I could, and I was illegal.
Yeah.
So it was very hard. I mean, I met so many people that helped me, to get jobs here and there and everywhere. I worked cleaning rooms in a hotel. I worked washing cars and in parking lots.
Right.
And whatever I needed to do to make money.
Right. Right.
So, and then I finally got a job where it was a little more stable at a family-owned candy store in Santa Monica, California. Okay. Beautiful people, wonderful people, and they took me in. I didn't speak English at all, so it was just by sign language. What I had to do, I was just to make.
Is this still in the same year? The 1 year?
Yes, in the same year when
okay.
I arrived. Yeah,
Okay.
months later. And I started working there. It was like a candy store, wrapping candy and stuff. So I didn't have to really communicate with anyone.
Yeah.
And it was all fine. And boy, it was $3.25 an hour. That was the minimum wages back then.
Yeah.
It was really difficult to make it,
do anything.
exactly. So at that time is when they granted the amnesty for people that had gotten into the country back in 1982.
Right.
But I didn't come until that year in 1986, so I didn't qualify for it.
Oh, okay.
And then they were actually fining business owners that had illegal immigrants. If they got caught, they would get penalized. So the lady that I work for, she's like, Helen, we love you. I mean, somebody was translating for me. She's like, we don't want you to go anywhere, but we can't take a chance that we get in trouble. This is a small business, and what can we do to help you get legal in the country so you can work with it? I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's no, and that's another very misconception and lack of knowledge that people have in this country. Like, why do you come here illegal? Why can't you go get your visa? Right. Because it's not that easy. Every country has different programs, different. It's not like you can just go and say, "Hi, I want to be here legally." We will do it the right way if we have the chance. Yeah. So she said, "Find out how we can help you, and we will do whatever." And so at that time there was another opportunity for people to become legal if you could prove that you worked in the agricultural fields. And there's people that are out there to help, and there's other people that are out there to take advantage of situations.
Oh yeah.
So
still to this day.
Oh yeah. I somebody introduced me to supposedly a lawyer, and he was charging $2,500 per person to help you get documentation so that you can apply for a permit to work. So I talked to
That's a lot of money in the 80s.
I had never seen so much money in my life, so I talked to the lady that I work for, and I told her this is what they are telling me, and she was so wonderful. She gave me that money. But little that I knew that I was about to be human trafficked.
Oh, wow.
I paid this guy, and he took a bunch of us, all girls, to Northern California, Patterson, California. And they had us there for about 4 months, working the fields from dawn to dusk. We all slept in a tiny little room in mattresses on the floor. We got 2 meals a day. We couldn't communicate with anyone.
Wow.
So.
And was he Latino?
He was
a Latino.
He was a Latino guy, and working for a white boy that owned a ranch, and so they were making money, $2,500 per person, and then we free labor, and
I asked that, Helen, because I've heard of stories about that even to this day. Latinos
unfortunately
taking advantage of poor migrants, Latinos who come into this country, and they find ways to rip them off.
Yes,
basically.
Absolutely. So that was, after 4 months of being there, then we were let go, and they gave us the letter, and they told us, this is the letter that you need to go and apply for a permit, But if you turn us in and you say anything about it, we will say that we don't know anything about that letter, that we don't know how you got it, and you're going to be in trouble. So when you're illegal, you're young, you're scared.
Yeah, you're scared. Yeah.
But
you're unaware. You're unaware. You're not educated on what
lack of knowledge.
What is true. Yeah, lack of knowledge.
Even to this day, lack of knowledge and all that is what always hurts our community.
Yeah.
Did you know, Helen, that you were being human trafficked at the time?
Not at the time.
Okay.
I was like, I was scared and didn't feel right, but the promise was, after this time, you guys gonna be able to get your permit to work legally. Exactly. So I went back to LA. That went to immigration. I applied, and I got actually my permit to work. And with that, I was able to. I had better opportunities to get better jobs. And I didn't speak English. So it was really rough to get, the only thing that was working in hotels and housekeeping, cleaning rooms. But I have always been very resourceful, where when I put my mind into something, I knew that I had to make it, and I didn't come to this country to clean rooms, or I'm like, gosh, I didn't even clean my own room back home. Why am I going to be here cleaning rooms?
Right.
So
I was going to ask you if you was going to go work at Pizza Hut, said you.
I know, right? Yeah. So I made it I promised to myself that I was going to learn English, and I remember I got a dictionary and books. And on my free time, whenever at night when I got home from work, I will sit down and I literally will take a page from the book and I start looking at word by word in the dictionary to see what the meaning, and then I put the words together to see what the story was about. So that's how I
Taught
taught
yourself.
myself to learn. And at the same
And you were
time.
learning proper English, and you didn't even know it.
Exactly, because I really learned how to write it.
Yeah.
And then, but I wasn't aware of what was happening, obviously,
Yeah.
until, when people ask me now, how did you learn English? I'm like, okay, I guess.
Yeah.
I have my own method, but it really works.
Yeah.
So, and that way, I was able to go from housekeeper to hostess in the restaurant, in the hotel, the Westin Bonaventure Hotel in downtown LA. That was where I used to work, for a while. And that was in 1987. I had a second son.
Okay.
Yes, actually, Dennis and Christian. I don't think that you know my other son,
I
Christian,
don't think
Dennis's
we know.
brother.
No.
The same father, that's another story. But
Yeah.
anyway, he left me in Guatemala when I was 8 months pregnant with Dennis.
Okay.
He went away, never knew about him he was in the States already. When I went to LA, he found out that I was around, and so he came around again.
Yeah, came
And there I
looking
am.
for you.
Yeah.
And-
Familiar face.
Yeah. Ignited that flame.
Son.
Yeah, kind of. So
my son.
that was a bad fire, and it wasn't a flame.
Hey, again, you was young, right? You was young. And
Young,
wasn't
naive,
right-minded.
and yeah, exactly. So I had a second son, and again, it didn't work out. I mean, he walked away when I was 4 months pregnant with my second son. So yeah, that's. Anyway, it complicated things more. Obviously, I
Which
had
is adding.
exactly. I had my son down there. I had son here. I had to find babies. It was really rough. There was days where I had to get up at 3 a.m. to take my son to the babysitter and ride 2 buses, public transportation, to get to work and do the journey back home again. There was situations where I had to work 2-3 jobs to make it happen.
Is there a job, Helen, that you just I hated that job? That is the job I hated the most. When you think back,
Boy, really,
I mean, I imagine picking them fields for 4 months was probably
What kind of
really,
fields was? Yeah,
strawberries.
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 So do you hate strawberries?
I
now?
don't. I don't.
I mean, I say
know.
that because I know people that grew up in like chicken fields or chicken farms. They're like, man, I hate chicken.
Yeah, maybe because strawberries smell so good.
Yeah.
But one thing I can tell you is working at that. Remember the candy store that I told you?
Mm-hmm.
It was a chocolate, like you dipped
Chocolate.
fruit
Yeah.
in chocolate.
Yeah.
So that was my job, and I was pregnant while I was part of when I was there. I was pregnant, and I hated the smell. So I don't eat chocolate. Right? I mean, I don't like chocolate that much. I eat it once in a while, but I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't go with my diet, so it works out perfect.
Yeah.
But yes, and one funny story, I told you that I used to work for some time cleaning cars. Like we went to parking lots in Beverly Hills.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so I worked in Beverly Hills.
You some good cars.
Yes, and I remember one day, I was done cleaning this car, and then it was a gray Mercedes, a beautiful car. I remember that convertible,
Yeah.
and I was helping cleaning it, and then the guy came to pick it up. And it was an African American guy, and he was checking me out and smiling and, hey, and I'm like, I was like very shy, and he gave me a tip, and then he drove away and drove back again, and he said, do you want to ride, and I'm like, and I'm like, no, and I knew that much.
Yeah.
Well, come to find out later on, now I know, I wished I could go back on time, it was Eddie Murphy.
Hey!
Oh, really?
Eddie Murphy.
It was Eddie Murphy.
Oh,
My son Christian.
And this is in the 80s.
Yes.
Eddie
Well,
Murphy,
that's
man.
Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
That's raw Eddie
I
Murphy.
know.
Eddie
Yeah.
Murphy, you watching, man. You watching, right? Check it out, man. Helen,
And
man.
my son Christian is a clown, and he says, Mom, you tell me that I could have had Eddie Murphy as a stepdad, and you blew that? I'm like, yes.
And I think Is one of Eddie Murphy's
Wife,
wives
Latino.
Latina?
Yes,
Yeah.
he has a thing for
That's-
Latinos.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
Helen, if we could only go
Man.
back in time.
I'm
That's a-
telling you,
So
boy.
let's talk about Helen, your journey to Kansas City. I mean, so
Yeah.
you're there in LA, you're doing all these jobs, you're working, you have another son. How did we end up in Kansas City?
So my son Christian was then 2 years old, 3 years old, somewhere around there, and I met a gentleman from Kansas City. You know, he used to work at the Westin Bonaventure Hotel. We met there. Very nice guy, and he was from Kansas City. Yeah, he was in the hotel industry, and we started dating in 1989.
Okay.
We married.
Okay.
We got married, and life changed. You know, he taught me a different way of life. He taught me the other side of the coin of what I was used to have in life. You know, so I'm grateful for that. And he didn't speak Spanish, so that tremendously helped my English.
Yeah.
You know, we had trouble communicating in the beginning, but it was a good thing.
Yeah.
So he was working in Los Angeles for the Westin hotels, and then from there he was recruited from by Harris Casinos. So from LA we moved to Vegas. We were in Vegas for a while, and then when Harris Kansas City opened, he came here as a project manager, and he was from here. So that's why we came to Kansas City, and that was, but that was after we met in LA, moved to Boston for a while, from Boston back to LA to Vegas, Vegas to Oklahoma, and then Kansas City.
Wow.
Oh wow.
So, yeah.
You got to see all parts
I
of
know,
America.
right?
Those are different too.
Totally, yeah. I'll tell you one thing, though. Coming from Guatemala to America, it was I adjusted easier to that change than coming from LA, from Vegas to Oklahoma.
Oh yeah.
Oklahoma's,
Well, Vegas, man, Vegas. I mean,
Don't
Vegas.
call
is
it Sin
pretty
City
wild.
for nothing.
yeah, but you know,
and Oklahoma. I mean, Oklahoma's okay, but
that
you
is
know,
two sides of the
Oklahoma-
spectrum. I know.
Yeah, completely.
That's where I got into working out, because I was losing my mind. I'm
Yeah.
like, this is
Gotta get busy.
Gotta get
There's nothing but cows and Indians and fields out here.
that was the early 2000s. It was very diversity was.
Yeah.
I don't know how it is right now, but there was no diversity. I was like, I would go, and my ex was from here, blonde eye, blue eye, and here I was, and I remember the looks. I felt it, and I'm being the Latino spicy woman that we are, and we speak our mind. I'll be like, what are you looking at? Do you want an autograph or something? I knew how to speak English at some to say what I wanted. So, but yes, and so that's how we ended up in Kansas City. But by then, in 1980, gosh, what year was it? Being in Vegas, I hadn't seen my son for 12 years.
Okay.
When I left Dennis at 2. Finally, there was a situation back in Guatemala when he was 12, when he was taken hostage by some bad people.
Oh my God.
Dennis was
12
years old.
Guys with machetes and
Is that
stuff.
because they knew you were in the States?
No,
or
it was he happened to be at the wrong
Place
time
at
at
the
the
wrong
wrong.
time.
It's like they were robbing this
he was
place.
mafioso, like we said earlier.
Man, I knew it, man. That
Dennis
dude.
was involved.
That's what started it with it, man.
He had it in him, But so that kind of ignited I wanted to bring my son anyway, and I had tried so many times, and they denied it. By the time I got my permit to work, and then my permanent residence, but I wasn't a citizen just yet. So when that happened, I was already married to my ex-husband, and him being American citizen, born here, everything made it easier. So we actually got a immigration lawyer that went to Guatemala, and she did everything that she had to do using the incident that had happened. He escaped by the grace of God. And so that helped our case, and Dennis was able to join us when he was 14 years old, finally, when we were in Vegas. So
Let's talk about that reunion.
yeah, it was It was beautiful, it was wonderful, and it was painful because my son didn't know me. He was 2, and all he knew it was my mom and my grandma. That was that was everything for him.
That kind of out of sight, out of mind. I'm sure that the emotions that you were feeling through that.
Correct, and it was difficult in the beginning. He was very angry, and shortly after he came here, Grandma passed away, and he wasn't there, so that really affected him greatly. And we had rough times, where discipline and stuff is like, well, you were never there. Why are you, very hurt, very hurt. And but now that he is an adult and he's a father, and he's a wonderful son, he tells me, he goes, Mom, he always says, thank you, Mom, for the sacrifice. He goes, I can imagine me leaving my little girls behind for this, and and he got his master's in business from KU. He's very successful. Yes, very successful, and so he understands that I had to make that sacrifice had to happen for all of us to have a chance. And then he met his brother for the first time. That was interesting because Dennis didn't speak a word of English and Christian didn't speak Spanish. So it was very interesting.
So do they both now talk in both?
Yes,
Nice.
Christian. His Spanish is. I tell you, he sounds like a gringo, but he does well to communicate. He's in the roofing industry. He has his own little.
So he's getting it.
Because he's employed the people, the crews that he has. But he gets me on the phone a lot. He goes like, Mom, can you translate this for me? Want to make sure, and I'm like, I'm gonna start charging you, boy. But and then I also had a daughter by now Samantha. It's 30. She just turned 30, and she's a wonderful young lady. She lives in Colorado.
You know what that is, D-Ron?
Man, tell me, man.
That is a salute.
That's a salute, 100%. Salute to that journey, man.
Yeah, so that's
incredible.
That's how we
That's
that's how we interrupt.
That's how we interrupt.
That's how we interrupt.
That's how we interrupt.
Right?
Well, you hit on something, Helen. You talked about it in Oklahoma is when you started focusing on working out just to keep your mind busy, maybe get away a little bit from the environment you were in. So at some point, you weren't just like going to the gym and like, I'll just walk on the treadmill, and where did this? You are a professional bodybuilder now, right? Talk about this. Where did this start? How did it start mentally? Everything like that.
Yeah, so I told you I have 3 children. Dennis, Christian, and Samantha, but I really have 4. I have an adopted daughter. Okay. She is my niece, but I got custody of her when she was 5. Okay. So I had 4 children at home, driving me absolutely insane. They do, right? I had a 9-to-5 job. It was very difficult to come home and deal with, different sports, practice this, practice that, dinner. So I joined the gym just for mental. So and I started going just to do cardio, really. Just I would get on the Stairmaster, and I will make sure that I got all my frustrations out before I went home, and that way I had a better tolerance for the children and not kill them all.
If I could just real quick, where were you working actually at that time?
When I was in Oklahoma, I was working for. It used to be called AFCO Financial, then went to City Financial. So I was a loan officer for them at that time. So, I started going to the gym, and then the opportunity for us to move to Kansas City because the Harrah's Casino was happening, and my ex-husband was the project manager. They brought him out here as that, and so we moved, and I continued to work out in Liberty at the community center is where everything started. Really, I was working there just doing cardio. Then I met this lady, and she said, "Hey, have you ever done a fitness show?" I'm like, are you crazy? I just do this to help my mental. And she just kept on it. You have a beautiful physique. You're a natural. You need very little help. And I'm like, no, man, leave me alone. I'm not interested in that. She was on my ears so much. And she was a big bodybuilder, like back that was in, 25 5 years ago when I started doing that. So she was really, and in my mind, I'm like, I don't want to look like you. I want to look feminine. I don't, So, and in a subtle way, I asked her, I said, so am I going to get, that big? And she's like, no, not necessarily. This is, so anyway, long story short is that she convinced me to do the Liberty Show. That show has been going on for years and years. So that was the first show that I prepped for. She's like, I'm going to help you to prepare. And she helped me for 2 weeks. And I'm like, okay, so I went on stage and I took second place.
Wow.
So I was kind of
First
excited.
time.
Yeah, and I was excited. I'm like, what would happen if I really do what it takes? And now I won first place. Yeah. So that was in April. There was a show in September.
And this is in the 90s?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So there was a show in the Gold's Classic. Gold's Gym Classic had a show. And it was from April to September. And I told her, I said, okay, so I want to do that show. Would you help me? I want to see what happens. Yeah. She was excited. I was excited. And I started, my nutrition and everything, training every day. And I won the show. Wow. So I'm like, wow, this is...
You were a natural. I mean, she saw it.
Only two, tryouts or two,
two shows.
Two shows you got in second and
first.
how
much time were you actually focusing on this?
Yeah, what was that routine like?
To prep for a show, now I stay pretty close to where I need to be, because...
You mean like weight and
and also because of age is a factor. I know that I want to say that...
You look incredible, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah. But I am as old as I am. Sure. And so now I stay very close within pounds and I know exactly, I have learned my body to... Yeah. So as for me, I know exactly what I need to do, when and what to change to get to where I need to go. Right. But to prep for a show, you have to give yourself from 12 to 16 weeks. So it's... intense, so...
Well, what's crazy is that first one you did in 2.
Yeah, and I have to say that I am blessed with genetics. I really am, Symmetry is a huge factor in fitness competitions, symmetry, your skin. I mean, and we are Latinos, we have good skin, look at you.
Mine's kind of covered, but it's under there.
But I can see it. Still good skin. Yeah. So when I won that show, it was there's different federations in bodybuilding. The IFBB is the International Federation of Bodybuilding, which everybody wants to be part of. You become a pro, and that's where things happen. Okay. And I was competing in other federations that were just local. So by then, I'm like, I want to try what it's like to be really with real competitors. Yeah, right. And I continue to train, and I switched federations per se. I went from this to the other, the NPC, which was back then the National Physique Committee. Okay. And so you had to win there to go to the next level. Okay. Long story short is that took me, I can't tell you how many shows, but it took me 7 years to become a pro.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
So
I mean, the competition was fierce, I'm assuming.
It was. Yeah. It was.
Well, at that time, was it? Was there, with women, was this still like a high bar, that you had to try and reach up to with those?
For the time, it was, but it's worse now.
Yeah, right.
It's worse now. So, but yes, so I for 7 years I wanted, I was determined to get my pro card. But I must say that also I was so, exercise, has helped me tremendously for my inner fitness. Yeah. And I tell people that you can be fit in the outside if your inside fitness is not good.
100%.
And that it took me a while to learn that and to see that, because I always tell people that bodybuilding is wonderful. I love the discipline of the sport. I take that discipline and I have applied it to every aspect of my life, and it has made me a better person. But also it's a very egotistic sport. You become so enamored with yourself that you think that it really affects if you're not grounded, if you're not working on your inside fitness, you can easily be destroyed. And I can tell you that I have seen many of my fellow competitors, bodybuilders, go through a lot of things, divorces, illnesses, diseases, because this comes with a lot of things, doors that can open if you let it. So it's
injuries, I'm sure.
Have you seen the Netflix special that Arnold Schwarzenegger just did?
Yes.
He talks a lot about the struggles of being alone and having that self-focus and discipline, and kind of what that does to somebody, and some mental health aspect of it.
Correct.
Too. I mean, when you were talking through that, I was thinking back to watching that show, and how powerful his words were.
Correct. So I in 2008, finally, I got my pro status in the States. I won a show in Chicago, and I became a pro.
Wow.
So, and I can tell you that I was on cloud nine. I'm a pro now. It's like everybody wants that. So.
And then so there's levels to get to that you were talking about, right? So how long were you an amateur?
7 years.
7 years?
Yeah.
And then you became a pro.
Correct.
Okay.
But you have to go from local shows to regional shows to national shows. So you have to place top 3 in
those different levels
in a national show in order to
become a pro.
That was how it was. Things have changed now as well, but that's what my case.
What was the toughest? Local, regional?
Regional. It's all amateurs, and in some that was easy. Regionals was a little bit more because you go against people from Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, St. Louis. So there's a little bit more competition, but it's still. And then you get to the point where you're like, I'm ready. Then you get to national. This is a whole different ball game. A different. And then I remember.
People have probably been training for years.
Correct. And I felt like a yo-yo. You go and you get on stage and everything, and then you have the judges. Critiques, and I went like, your shoulders are too small, your legs are too big, you have no shoulders, it was crazy. I was like, okay, for the next prep, I gotta work on this. It was just
pulling you in every direction.
But then it dawned on me that this sport is on the eye of the beholder. There's no rules in black and white like like an actual sport that you are judged by. It's like this judges might like a brunette, a blonde. They want bigger shoulders, smaller. I don't know. So it's like I had to come to a point where I was happy with what I saw with myself.
For sure.
So in 2008, at the end of 2008, I decided to do my first international show.
Okay.
So I went to Spain.
Wow.
Santa Susana in Barcelona. And it didn't go very well. There was, oh my God, people from all over the world, and that was my first time, and the best of the best. It was a great experience, met a lot of people. Now I'm like, okay, I know what I have to do. I have some work to do. I'm going to train on this and train on that. It was my focus. It was everything to me.
Right.
And that's what this is what I was going to when I told you that you have to be very careful with this sport because it can consume you and you leave behind a lot of things that are important. Your loved ones, you become so engulfed in yourself. You can't eat what they eat.
Right.
You can go out and have fun like they do. So you isolate yourself and so I got divorced. I'm not going to say because of that, but we were having issues, and so that was a separation even more because I'm like, I'm this here. What, I'm gonna. This is how I am.
Around the world.
I'm around the world. Exactly. No, seriously. So when I came back from Spain, that was at the end of 2008, if I remember correctly. In 2009, early 2009, I was feeling a little tired.
Not yourself.
Not myself. You know, I'm like, okay, I have to recover. It's my training, it's my diet, because I continue to I was like, my next show, I'm going to be on point. So I started to get crazy about it, training hours a day, and my food was so, if I didn't eat when I had, exactly, crazy like.
Yeah.
And also, I at one point in my life, I was, I'm not going to say ashamed, but didn't want to talk about it. But talking about it, I know that can help other people.
Right.
I was introduced, I had somebody that was helping me to prep, and there was supplements involved.
Oh, okay.
And that was bad. So when I started feeling, in my training, I was so tired and everything, then I went to the doctor just for a physical. And it's when I found out that I had cancer.
Oh, wow. That had to take you back down quite a bit.
That was July of 2009.
Wow. And you're training hard. I'm in
the best shape of my life.
You're peaking, Yeah.
I went for a physical, and I get a phone call, and the doctor said, need to talk to you. I'm like, sure. And he's telling me that I have cancer, and it doesn't register, on me. I'm like, he's like, you're not listening. We need to do surgery like right away.
Wow.
I was stage 3, about stage 3 stomach cancer.
Wow.
And I didn't know it. I didn't have anything that I could just feeling tired.
No kind of symptoms or nothing crazy.
Just tired, extremely tired. But like I said, because of my lifestyle, I'm like, that's what it is. I am tired because of my diet, because of training so hard, and had surgeries, radiation, because after they clear my the stomach part, it went to my lung for so. But that was treated with radiation, and it was eradicated. I have been good since.
Wow.
So mind you, you've been training this whole years and doing all this in that routine of what you've been doing just to get thrown into this brick wall.
Yes.
Had to stop.
Yes.
And you talked briefly about how the mental state of how you're going.
Yes.
Well, this is just another one that's boom,
Yeah, it was extremely difficult. I was angry. I was angry at God. I was angry at life. I was, I'm like, why? Why? But once again, God knows. He knows what He's doing.
Yeah.
I needed a timeout. When you have a child that is misbehaving, and you're like, you know what, go sit in the corner and think about what you're doing. That's what God did to me.
Yeah.
And so would I change things how it happened? I don't know, but I do not. I'm okay with the way that things went down.
Right.
Because I needed that.
Yeah.
I needed that time out. I needed, to sit down and reevaluate my life.
Right.
What was important, what was priority, got me closer to God, got me closer to my family.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
and that was going to be my testimony,
Yeah.
for others, for other women, for other men. And so I went, that was in 2009.
You had to have taken a break, I'm assuming.
Oh, yeah. No, I have a scar from hip to hip. My core was completely destroyed. I couldn't even get up from bed to go to the bathroom. It took a lot for me to retrain. I lost a piece of oblique muscle on this side, and everything was cut across. So it was a journey to recover from all that, and then from radiation affected my joints and affected my psychic as well. My depression. I went into a really deep depression, and so that was in 2009, 10, 11, 12. For about 4 years, I really didn't.
Wow.
I didn't do much. I couldn't do anything. But inside me, I still had the desire. I loved fitness. I believed in it.
Yeah.
I just had lost my way. I kind of derailed a little bit, but and I wanted to come back. And there was a couple of things. Obviously, the scar was a huge thing for me to overcome. I'm like, this is aesthetic. They're gonna look at your, and this is a
We're
huge.
so self-conscious.
Exactly. And I didn't know how to overcome that, and also spiritually, because I didn't want to go back to the very same thing that was changing me into a person that I wasn't, if it makes sense.
Yeah.
So I felt like if I go back, I'm betrayed. God is giving me a second chance, and I don't want to go back to the very same thing. But it just kept coming back to me. So one day I came to the conclusion that I believe that we all have a gift in life. We all have a purpose. This is your purpose. I see that you guys love what you're doing, putting stories out there, talking to people. That's your gift. So I think my gift is this. This is what I'm good at, but not so much for the physical part of it, but because the influence, the impact, the inspiration, the motivation that I have had in other women, in other people in my life that have come in contact with me. Yeah. And the platform for me, it's my sport. That has opened doors that I couldn't have ever imagined. I just had to figure out, how do I go back to that and not be the same person? And I know that.
How challenging was that?
Very, very. First, I had to come to terms with God in myself, that I'm like, but you know what? I know that whatever we do, the glory is for God, it's okay.
Right.
You're doing what you're supposed to be doing, but it's not for you. It's to help others, and it's because God is allowing you to. And the second part, one day I want to train for a show, and I'm looking at the scar, and I'm like, this is after 3 reconstructive surgeries. And then I'm like, you know what, Helen, what is your problem? This is, I look at my scar now, and it's
a trophy.
It's my biggest trophy. This was my overall win. I won here. And if I didn't have this, I wouldn't be here.
I was going to say that, like there's so many people who did not overcome cancer.
Correct. Absolutely.
And you did.
Yeah. And the fact that I was going on a stage and winning, it was showing other women that, just because you had a C-section, it doesn't mean that you're not pretty anymore. That whatever you have going on, it's just, you are the only one that's seeing it that way. And I think that that gave me what I needed. And in 2015, I started training hard again. I'm like, I'm coming back. And I started training hard again, and going at it. And I did a show in Arkansas, and I placed in the top 6. Wow. It was a pro show. And then I was kind of uneasy and not really satisfied with where I was in the sport. And I'm saying that because I started to see that it had gone crazy with supplements out there. And I'm like, I am not willing to do any of that. If I can't get there on my own with what God gave me, I'm good.
So you went to all natural?
Correct.
Nice.
I have been since 2009. And so every time I went to a show, I had I really had a great condition, great symmetry, but I wasn't as monstrous big like the other girls because and here anything goes. So I was very conflicted with that, and I'm like, I think that I'm done. And at that time, I get a call from Guatemala. They saw my pictures out there. They knew about me, and they are like, we need an athlete like you in our team.
Wow.
So I was recruited by the National Federation of...
That had to be an incredible honor and call.
Wow.
I tell you, I get choked up in goosebumps because I never thought that I would have the privilege to represent my country, my people, the women from my country. Because back, bodybuilding wasn't really huge in Guatemala. And I went back home as a national athlete after 30 years.
Oh my God.
It was amazing. I mean,
They got a statue there. They got a statue.
not that
every-
much.
Yeah.
Not that crazy.
Wow,
but yeah, but it was really crazy because I went as Señor Guatemala is one of the biggest shows in Guatemala, Señor y Señorita Guatemala, and they brought me as a guest, as a guest performance, to perform, and I had security with me 24/7. I had guards. I mean, guarding my door everywhere I went to the bathroom, and I'm like, I'm good, and and I was like, wow, we're so weird, and I remember being in the at the national stadium there, full of people, and there was lines of people waiting for me to take pictures with them and to sign my pictures.
That felt weird.
Very. I was embarrassed. I'm like, or people asking, how much do you charge for your autograph? I'm like, nothing. It's really everybody who comes here. I was in another, but it was very humbling. I had little kids that came over and posing with me. I have some pictures somewhere in my social media with little girls posing, and one of those girls is now competing in gymnastics as a teenager.
Really?
It's amazing.
I mean, the fact,
the
Helen,
impact.
the fact that this is a country you left, your country you left at the young age of 17, right? And then 30 years later, circling back. I mean, all those experiences you just talked about. Human trafficking, losing a friend, having children, working jobs you hated, cancer. And then here you are back in Guatemala.
Representing.
And you're a celebrity on your own, back in your home country.
Yeah.
What an incredible story.
It was absolutely wonderful. And the fact that in 2017 we had the Olympic Games in Nicaragua, and I won gold for Guatemala.
Wow.
Right.
So that was...
You know what that is, D-Ron?
Man, let's do it,
That
man.
is
That is a salute, man.
Salute.
Salute, man.
So that was the first time. The Olympic cycle games is, it's very... It's a big deal. You have all of Central America, the Caribbean, and Mexico, South America coming to compete. And I took the gold in my category for... It was so incredible to get on the podium. They give you the flag, and they sing your national anthem.
Wrap it around your shoulders.
There is no feeling.
Oh, man.
No feeling like it.
Man,
and
I bet you're showing out too, man. I'd be going crazy. I'd be throwing it around me, man. I'd be doing all kinds of shit.
It was a very, all those experiences have been very humbling, really. I am so thankful. I'm still part of the team. I'm still, actually, I am, life happens, and there's been a lot of things happening here lately, and actually, I'm going to tell you a little side story that I knew that I was going to be here with you guys today, and there was moments where I wanted to call and say, you know what, I'm not going to be able to do it, because my mental, it wasn't, but I am so glad. Once again, this was a divine intervention, because you are making me go back and look at my life, and so what I'm going through right now, it's nothing. I got this, and this is thanks to you guys. So
well, thank you for for that, for telling that devil on that side, that angel getting my chingon and saying, no, we gotta do it.
Yeah.
That's happened multiple times with different guests of ours.
Absolutely.
As well,
It's an incredible honor just to sit here with you, Helen. I mean, that's our purpose. It really is.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
And we believe in a higher power as well, and we believe that this is what we're meant to do. Help tell stories and capture the stories of people like yourself. I mean, I know you have told your story to Her Magazine and other sources, but our audience probably, some of them probably have no idea who you are, where you're from,
Right.
and that there's people like yourself out here with that story.
There is.
Really appreciate
there's people that are going through the same thing that you overcame.
And more than anything, exactly. That's my point right there. There's times where I have been wanted to quit altogether. I'm like, gosh, I'm too old for this, because I know that I look good for my age or whatever it might be, but It is what
You
it
just
is.
look good. Let's just stop there.
And I feel it, and sometimes I'm like, gosh, I'm done with this. Why am I punishing myself anymore? And there's been
Well, it's a
occasions.
lifestyle.
Yeah, and there's
It's a
been
lifestyle.
right. There's been situations. I remember one particular one. I'm walking in the grocery store, and just feeling like, just what am I doing this? And picking my food, and I'm like, this is not what I want to eat anymore. Damn chicken, I don't want to see chicken anymore.
Some
I want,
Correct.
and then I want a
there's-
cheeseburger. I want some Pizza Hut.
Right, and there's this lady and her daughter behind me, and every time I move, they move. If I turn, they turn. And I'm like looking, I'm like, what is going on? So I turned around and I looked at him and I smiled, and they smiled and goes, I'm sorry, she said, I don't want you to think that we are crazy. We're just admiring you and wondering what you do to look like that. We wanted, her daughter was only 16 years old and with problems with weight and diabetes and everything, and so was Marie, also very, sick. I mean, heavy and sick.
Yeah.
And we started to talk, and she's like, how do you eat? Look, let me see what you're eating, So we got to, it was a long conversation. Long story short, they put back everything bad that they had, and they bought all healthy food. And we became friends. She invited me to her church to talk to the women about what we were trying to do.
Nice.
Her daughter and everything, and her daughter, sadly, she passed away from a heart attack.
Oh my God.
Maybe 17 years old.
Oh, wow.
But Marie lost so much weight. She's kept it since then, and she's beautiful. She moved to Florida. She's doing great.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's great.
Inspiration.
So with that, do you help train other people now as well, or do you guide them in that direction? I mean, it's a
We got
it's
to
a lot
follow you
do.
around the store
It's
to
a
get
lot
them
do.
tips.
Yay, you want to? Well, I do have a lot of people that approach me, and they talk to me. How do you do this? And really seriously, right now, if you want to eat healthy, if you want to change your lifestyle and everything, it's in your fingertips. You can go to. You can Google anything, go online, bodybuilding.com will tell you how to eat, what to eat for your body, whatever. But it's not the same when you know someone.
Yeah.
I know that when the people look at me, I am tangible. I am a mom, I worked, I raised children, I have a full-time job, I have a career, and I still find time to do it. That's what people want to know. And I have helped some people. I unfortunately don't have the time to say, come and train with me. I would, someday I would like to maybe transition into something like that. I don't know, but I make sure that I guide people the right way.
I also believe that it all has to come, like you said, mental. It's your mentality.
Yes.
There's a lot of people that want help. It's all, you got to get in your own head and get that done.
Correct. I really believe that in every situation in life, it could be, from the fitness to for every aspect of your life, we all have that switch built in there. It's just that our job to find it and make it, flip it and let's do this. It's very.
Yeah, it's absolutely in your head. And I guess that was a good segue, D-Rod, to right behind you is Carthage Real Estate Group. So this was a switch that you flipped some point, along your story here.
Well, yeah, with the pandemic, I lost my job, and here I am. This is I was 56 when I just told you how old I am. So I don't care.
No.
So I lost my job, and I am at what am I going to do? I mean, and let's face it, companies, corporations, they don't even give you now an opportunity to talk to the person.
Right.
They don't ask you how old you are, but they can tell by your resume how old, and if you're older than 35, now you're too old. You become a liability for them.
Right.
Or they want that young college graduate that they can pay
they're cheaper.
$25,000 a year, and they're gonna squeeze everything they can out of them. They don't care. It's not like we used to be. You're young, but I don't know how old you are. But in the time that
I'm right up there with you.
well, exactly. You remember going to fill out an application, and you had to dress nice and present yourself. That's how you got a job.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you're just a piece of paper online,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Yeah.
So actually, Dennis, my son had a lot of lot to do with my decision. I had been on the lending side, I was working for AFCO City Financial back in the day doing loans, and also on the wholesale lending. But I always had it in the back of my head that being a real estate agent will be cool. And he said, Mom, you always, wanted to do that, and this is your opportunity. Why don't you go get your license? And, and I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm not going to pass that test. I hate studying and going to classes. And he's like, let's do it together. Let's go take. So we took the classes together. Yeah. Then I ended up taking the test before did, and I got the license before he did. Nice. So that's how I ended up on the real estate side of it. Yeah. In Carthage, it's a group, that I actually, it was already established when I joined. I have 2 guys that are wonderful that I work with. Okay. They are my partners. That we do things together. Everybody has their own role. I focus more on the networking, business development, yeah. And we have one of my partners is very great with numbers, financials, and the other guy is more organized to have. So we have a very well group that we work, with what our strengths are, and so that is Carthage commercial real estate. So I got my license in I just fell into commercial by the grace, once again, not by the grace of God, but by design. Right. That's God, that was his plan, Oh, yeah. And because of the previous jobs that I had, my contacts were mostly in the commercial world. And when you treat people right, when you are honest, when you treat people with respect, they will be there for you when you need them. And, when I became an agent, I went and I told my clients, this is what I'm doing now. I don't have experience, but you know me, and now, and so I got the opportunity in the commercial world, and I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know anything about anything. Right. So that's how I came in contact with one of my partners, and he said, come over, let's work together. We joined forces, and here we are now. We started out of the plaza in an office down there, and we came this way. We do a lot of business in the grocery stores, a lot of investors, and so it's been. There's
been a lot popping up. There's been a lot of openings.
Yes. It's
you do a lot locally, I'm assuming.
Yes, yes. All of our work it's local. As of now. That might change soon here, but yes. But we have plenty of people that trust our work, and they keep us busy. A lot of investors, and it's great. I love it. I am glad that it happened this way. I know that this was meant to happen this way, and I am thankful for it. So. Yeah, here I am.
That's amazing. And that's amazing. I mean, I can't imagine. I mean, you say you kind of did this through the pandemic or started this afterward. So you've been doing this for about 4 years now?
Correct.
Okay.
And, it's a very commercial in itself. There's not too many women in commercial real estate, and not too many. There's a lot of Hispanics in the real estate business, but people that dedicate to do a strictly commercial. Commercial is different. Yeah. It's a different game.
There's a ton though in residential.
Yeah, and I have seen some that somebody comes to them and they're, hey, can you help me with this building to buy this restaurant? And they say yes. And then I have seen situations where people lose money or they don't know what I don't want to say they don't know what they're doing, but the process in commercial is totally different than it is in residential. And I am happy to be in this part of it where I can open the doors for other women that want to come.
I read somewhere, maybe you can tell this great story. I read that you was able to save an individual man who was buying a property $500,000.
Yeah, he's my client, and now he refers to me. I just help his daughter to buy her house, his son to buy a house.
That's $500,000.
He is a wonderful person. He's Latino. Him and his wife worked so hard, and we
That
were
was over a language barrier. They
correct.
didn't understand.
He
things.
was
Is that
about to
right?
sign this lease agreement that was going to cost him $500,000.
That's crazy.
And he just happened. He says, "Hey, do you mind?" He goes, "I know that you don't do." He didn't know that I could do, because I do in our group. We also do property management, leasing, buying, selling. I mean, you name it. And I said, "Yeah, it's something that we do too. Let's
Right.
take a look at it." And he basically was about, his partner had already signed. They were just waiting for his signature to take him to the bank. $500,000 for a lease where he had been in the building for 15 years. And they didn't want to make any repairs. And the new lease was going to raise his rent by double, by $17 more than what he was paying. And they even had stipulated somewhere in there that he did not have the right to use a representative, that they will not pay for representation.
Wow.
And I told them, I said, even if we do this for free, you're not doing this, And I contacted the other agent, and after we talked, I said, I don't know what you think you're doing, but they changed the tune. He got away with paying, I think he invested like $150,000 just to do the inside of this, because it's not his piece of real estate. He wasn't responsible to rehab the entire building.
That's
when
crazy.
he's not. They wouldn't sell it to him either.
And that just goes back to how you said there's people that are good people trying to help you, and then
There's people that just want that commission,
Yeah.
and unfortunately that does exist. I've seen that many times.
well, the good thing you were there.
I'm
I
grateful.
was going to mention, D-Rod, this also reminds me, this conversation also reminds me of a guest we had, Dulcinea Herrera.
Sí. Café Corazón. Yeah.
And she talked about the struggles of them trying to find their first
Building.
building. And just people were so mean and like, are you going to put like piñatas up everywhere? And, we don't want that. And you're going to be playing music loud. And like there was just like ultimate stereotype
Absolutely.
on Latino businesses.
Yeah. A funny story, and I think it's okay to say it here, but I was in a room, in the beginning of my career, and I went, and there was a group of guys that had been in the business obviously all their lives, older people from other ethnicities. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
And one of them was so condescending and looks at me and he says, well, honey, in this business, you got to bring your balls to the table. Oh, I felt like somebody pulled my hair on my neck, and I'm like, I said, with all due respect, I said, are this big enough for you? I said, trust me, I said, mine, I said, they are maybe not in the same place, but they are bigger than yours, so can we do business now?
I bet
What happened to that
he
guy?
never had that response to
No.
him.
Oh, no, he
But-
never did. What happened to him?
He's
Did you
still
do
around.
business? Oh, is
Yeah,
he still around?
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of people like that. I'm
there,
sure.
yeah,
But I guess where I was
unfortunately.
going with that is, Dulcinea, and I'm sure sounds like you know her.
Yes, I do. I know
and
her,
mom,
Miel, and yes.
They said they're
wonderful
looking
people.
for a third location.
I know.
And so I'm hoping you guys are.
Actually, I talked to Dulcinea not too long ago,
Good.
and
Good.
Well,
I'm
I
glad.
told there's a place. I know a
Kansas.
place.
Okay, well, we'll get a talk afterwards
we'll
then.
talk,
All
we'll
right.
talk.
But that's amazing, Helen, and man, you're just.
for
I mean,
sure.
you're just continuing to go. I wrote
Your own
down
growth.
Yeah, I wrote down on here like go getter, and I put like what's next. But I kind of already found the answer to a couple of things you've already done next. So we got to hear the Cristo Rey fundraiser. You were a dancer, or asked to be a contestant, or how did that work? What is that exactly?
It was a fundraiser, as you know. Your goal is to raise. You have to commit to raise $50,000 for the school, and they came to me. They approached me, and obviously I agree. Last year I helped Big Brothers and Big Sisters with KC Most Wanted. Dennis and I were a team, and we were part of that fundraiser for Big Brothers and Big Sisters. So Cristo Rey approached me, and I accept the challenge, because I believe in what they do. They are there for our children. Our 80, I think, if I'm correct, about 86% of their kids are Latinos and people that don't have the means to send their kids to a. So they do great work.
Right.
So they approached me, and I'm like, oh, dancing? Yeah, dancing is my thing. I can dance in my sleep. I'm all excited. And So they pair me up with this gentleman, and I tell you what, I mean, dancing, social dancing, and dancing professionally is two different things. It was crazy. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And he's like,
You was trying to do your own thing out there, right?
you know it. And you know what? I had to get a song that I didn't know. Because if it was something that I knew, I was ready to take on my own. And he's like, whoa, what is going on?
You got to do all proper.
Too much rhythm for me. Too much.
You got to have your
We need a one and
You know what? And it's to cha-cha-cha, cha-cha-cha. That's all you have to.
Yeah.
So I literally had to block the music from my brain and learn the steps.
Yeah.
And it was wonderful. I mean, I did what I had to do, and the money, you know, I brought in the money that I was supposed to, plus a little bit more.
Good,
and
good.
I won as the best dance of the judges' choice. We won. It was
Nice.
amazing. So
What was the song?
Lola.
Lola?
Whatever Lola wants, Lola gets. It's a tango. Tango and cha-cha kind of.
Man, if we had room, I'd have you get over there and do a little.
Man.
Get JL up there with her. You know, JL's a dancing machine.
Oh, really?
Man.
I believe
he's
that.
A dancing machine.
But I don't do the 1, 2, cha cha.
You gotta put
We won't. I don't know.
I don't do that either. Trust me,
It reminds me of, what is this movie? It's a salsa movie where the guy comes from Cuba to
with Cheyenne
Yes.
in Vanessa.
Yes.
Yes.
Vanessa. What's her name?
Williams.
Williams.
Yes.
Thank
Oh,
you.
Yeah, that's
and,
a-
and
that's a nice
she
movie.
takes him to the club.
Dance
and
with Me. What is
Dance
it?
with Me.
I
Yes.
love that.
Dude, like you got to see this movie, like, because it's exactly what we're talking about, right? He's Cuban, so his salsa is like natural. He just
Yes,
goes with the
yes.
music, and she's like.
Choreograph.
She's like, will you dance with me out here? And he's like, oh no, like I'm not gonna dance, because she was accustomed to how she was trained to
Correct.
dance. She goes to the bathroom, right? Mm-hmm. And a young Latina comes up and she's like, come on, you know, and she's already grooving. He's like, okay, so he
And
goes out
he
there and
breaks down.
and then she walks out and she's like, this asshole, like she thought he didn't know how to dance,
Right.
wow.
and he was like, no, girl, I know how to dance, but
Not
not
like
like
you.
that. Yeah, not like you, right?
Yes.
I don't think I've ever
Oh
seen
man,
that.
it's
man.
a great little.
You have
clip.
it's an old movie, but it's
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
So it's so
Yeah.
so it was.
Maybe
it
I
was,
did see it. No.
It was a wonderful opportunity, you know, and I was very happy that I
That's
was
awesome.
able
And
to.
Cristo
Oh, yeah,
Rey
yeah.
is a great school. I think one of the things I've read about them is, or know about them, is like well over like 95% of their students, probably 99% actually, are in poverty.
Yes,
Are
yes.
below the poverty line, is what I
Correct.
should say.
Yes.
They're below poverty line. So shout out to Claudia.
Claudia
and Cristo
Mayer.
Rey
Yeah,
and
she's
everybody
awesome.
out there. Like, honestly, man, that's excellent work. The other thing that I saw about you is you recently were nominated and received the Win for KC 2024 Women's Sports Award.
Yes.
Is this accurate?
Yes.
Talk about that.
You know, it was. I was not expecting that. I got this message from this lady. Hey, this is that so and so from Win KC. Please give us a call. And I'm like, whatever you selling or give, I don't want it. So I kept, sending it away.
Yeah.
And then she sent me an email and she said, you have been nominated for this award. Can you give me a call? And I'm like, this gotta be some kind of,
Yeah.
So I called her and I said, hi, I got your message. I said, what is this about? She's like, well, you have been nominated to, for da-da-da-da-da. And actually she's like, because it was a few weeks until I finally decided to call her back. And she said, I'm so glad that you responded because you were not just nominated, you are the recipient of the award.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, how did that happen? And she says, well, you got nominated and for all your accomplishments and you will be getting this on January, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And so I was speechless, so it was, we did a video with all my story and it was wonderful to be there with so many young girls in sports, which is, that is my passion.
Absolutely.
And so as a matter of fact, next year I will be part of that organization.
That's amazing.
That's
yeah,
great.
I'm gonna.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well
Congratulations.
deserved.
Well deserved.
Thank you. Thank you.
I want to add on too, because like he said at the beginning, we do a little bit of stalking and find out
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
So not only with that win award, but you've also have multiple gold medals, right, for your international fitness and bodybuilding.
Yes.
Okay. You also have the 2024 Lockton Is that the Locked In
Yeah.
Courage
Locked in
Award?
Courage Award.
Wow.
Right. And then, I mean, the Dance Award. I mean, you got this award. I mean, you got obviously been recognized for doing these great things, and we applaud you for that.
Thank you. I am seriously, I am not, all this is humbling to me, because I am doing what I'm doing because I love to do it.
Oh, yeah.
It's stuff that I believe in, and to be recognized for doing what you do, what you love to do, what more can you ask for? It's a blessing,
for sure. Yeah,
so.
for sure.
Well, I think, Helen, I mean, D-Rod and I, we've been able to capture so many amazing stories here talking to people, and yours, without a doubt, is so inspirational. And I just hope and wish that people will take time to listen, to learn about, people who have the journey, in many ways that you've had to go through.
Yeah.
And thank you for representing Latinos and Latinas out here in Kansas City, from Guatemala, from, just that whole
struggle.
Yeah, the whole struggle that people have to go through. It's inspirational, to say the least.
Thank you. Once again, I'm grateful. I appreciate you guys so much for giving me this opportunity, and just tell people out there that life is not promised that it will be a walk in the park.
Right.
On the opposite, I think that the struggles is what makes us stronger, and you just have to keep pushing through. And there's times where you think that there's no way out. There's always a way out.
Always, yeah.
You just gotta believe in yourself and don't give up.
Love it.
Out of all these things that you've accomplished, is there a certain single one that makes you the most proud that you've done?
Yes, without a doubt, is to represent my country. Like I told you, that
100%.
when I stand out there on those podiums and I win for, I don't get me wrong, I love America. America is has given me opportunities that there's no way that I could have gotten. This is home for me. But to represent my people, where I come from, and that is, it's a feeling that it's can be
Can't describe it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm
That's
very
amazing.
proud of that, and and proud of my children.
Yeah.
Definitely, struggles and problems always going to happen, but I'm very proud of every one of them.
Absolutely.
Well, they had a great teacher,
Yeah,
and a great follower.
absolutely.
Thank you.
So, is there a mentor or person in your life that you would say, this is one person who's been with me and helped me quite a bit along the way?
Yes, without a doubt. She hasn't been with me physically for a long time, but she is with me it's my grandma. My grandma she came from nothing. She was the strongest little woman that you can meet. She, even without me knowing at the time, or her knowing, she was forming me to be the woman that I am now. And it's funny because I find myself now saying all the things that she used to say. So I always say, Grandma, like Grandma used to say, and definitely she was the definition of fighter, a warrior, and I am blessed to have that in me. I was watching her and I didn't know that was who I was becoming.
Didn't realize you were learning off of that.
Correct.
Yeah.
She had nothing and she had everything, if it makes sense.
for
And
sure.
that's, she taught me a lot.
It's
So-
quite amazing the
Yeah.
impact your grandparents have on you, and you don't even know it
No,
sometimes.
no, you don't see it, you don't appreciate it
Yeah.
until later
Later
on,
on.
exactly.
Well, excellent, Helen. Let's have some fun. There's a couple of, and not that this wasn't fun, because this was really fun, but to switch emotions if we can.
Yeah.
Workout you hate the most.
Workout I hate the most?
Yeah. Is there a certain workout body part that you're like, I hate this one the most?
Yes, hamstrings. Yeah, I hate to work hamstrings. I don't know why.
What are you doing on hamstrings?
Lunches.
Lunges, lane curls, stiff-legged weights.
Lunges.
Yeah, it's I hate it, but it's
You need it.
you need everything. But
So then, what is the workout you would say is most unuseful for people? that people are like, oh, you should do this, but it's really not that useful? Is there one?
There's so many weird things that you see people at the gym doing.
Have you seen the videos?
Man, oh my! I seen a guy doing. Somebody sent it to me. It was the exorcism. Bench press.
What the heck? I don't know that one.
Oh my gosh! I'm gonna find the video and make it part of this, because this guy is like on his neck, on his head, so he's on his neck backward. His back is up in the air. He's on his
Lord.
and he's doing a bench press.
That's painful just to hear.
Well, you see
my
those
God.
ones where they're picking up like pieces of
Furniture?
furniture and they got all kinds of stuff and they're hanging upside down.
I just wanted to ask if there's one you know that.
Some of that's
and
ridiculous.
I'm not gonna say that this is not useful, but there is some people, specifically girls, that I'm like, seriously, the hip thrust.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'd say I don't do that in public.
Is that where they put the barbell on them?
Oh my God!
Yeah.
It just I don't. Like I said, there's ways to do it.
Yeah, like what's the purpose of that?
What are you training for with that move?
Supposedly works for the glutes,
Okay.
Right.
but I
squats,
just
man.
I don't like it.
Okay. I don't know. I'm just asking. Okay, food that you eat as part of your diet to prep or just stay in shape, but you
Sure.
just like, I really don't like this food. Or maybe it's the one
All of it. All of it.
Well, now you're over it because you said it already. I'm tired
Well,
of this chicken.
But I know that diet is what is really difficult for most people. When you've done it so long, I don't have a problem with eating this way. I tell people, for me, eating it's not for pleasure per se. I mean, I just eat what I have to eat to fill that void.
Yeah.
There's, Brussels sprouts.
Do you have a cheat day?
Yes. It depends at what point of the prep. Like right now, we call it deviation. We don't call it cheating.
I like that word better.
I'm going to use that.
I'm deviating tonight. Yeah. So anyway, but you develop habits, just bad ones and good ones. Yeah. And obviously the good ones are harder to develop than the bad ones. Yeah. But for me, I find out that eating outside of my diet, I don't call it diet, outside of my normal, it just doesn't make me feel good anymore. Physically, my stomach, I don't care.
Yeah. You know what you're doing to it, and I mean it makes you feel in every way. While you're eating it, you're like, oh, why am I eating this? Because how shitty you feel afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I don't know, foods that I don't like. It's like Brussels sprouts. Sometimes I eat them, but I don't.
But you still eat them?
Yeah, sometimes I do. I don't know.
I don't know. I think
you like Brussels sprouts?
I love Brussels sprouts, actually.
Really?
Huh?
I mean, I guess, but I probably don't eat them healthy. Maybe that's the.
You put some cheese.
You put lots of cheese and butter.
Yeah, maybe the way they're made is actually like, you know what? That's why I like them. Now that I'm thinking of it.
My go-to is steak. I just eat steak. I try to follow. Everybody that knows me, I try to follow the carnivore. And I rarely, if not ever, never eat sides.
Just protein. No carbs whatsoever.
Okay, so I'm no. So
you hear that?
No. So I'm kind of. I tell everybody I'm kind of like 95%, right? Because I still I had a slice of pizza. And shit like that.
You're human.
No, and man, what? And it's okay. I mean,
it's fine.
I was gonna say that there's times when I have a craving of something. It's okay to have it. Yeah. I mean, given that I am not weeks away from my show, and if I am on a
strict,
exactly, then I know that the food will be there when I'm done. That's how I get through it. I'm like, and you crave it when you can't have it. That's you should. It's a
well, like when we went to the farmhouse, man, and we did an episode of the farmhouse, man. But shout out Vince, man. He came out with a stack of pancakes, right? and he came out with a big old meatball
D-Rod didn't let it
sandwich.
breathe.
And
He
I
was
was like, bro, you know what you're doing right now? And I inhaled that shit,
Yeah.
but it was so good,
Good.
you know.
Yeah.
So I'm like, man.
Yeah, and how often are you going to eat it fresh
Yeah,
like
man.
that from the chef?
Yeah, I mean, he cooked good. You know, it's good.
And you know what were you saying? I have noticed that every time after a show, and let's say I have my competition today, and tomorrow I go and eat pancakes and this and that. I look better than I did. I'm like, damn it, I need to change this, because you look so full and and vascular. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
So
All right, so couple fun questions. Before we get to this little fun activity we have, tell us you're from KC without telling us you're from KC.
4 seasons in one day.
Hey,
That counts.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yes.
You can have the 4 seasons. I lived, like I told
That's
you,
actually in our trailer.
LA, Boston, Oklahoma, and this is crazy. You can go from literally 4 seasons in one day. So that happens only here.
Yeah,
I have experienced it only here.
And like Gerald said, it's in our trailer. If you go back and watch our
really?
trailer, he says that in our trailer.
Okay. So there you go.
All right.
Nice.
So, Enterrupt KC. Go ahead,
Enterrupt
D-Rod.
KC. Okay, so Enterrupt KC, our logo, people, places, and things.
Yep.
All right. So we're gonna hit you with a couple people, places, and things, and let you pick verses. Okay, which one would you prefer?
Okay.
All right. You can answer which one you like. Single. If you like double them, that's cool. But let us know the reason why.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see.
Okay. All right, so we'll do people. All right, we'll start with people.
Go ahead.
All right, we'll start with people. Let me see. Let's go with. I don't know. How about Brian Busby, the weather.
The weather guy?
You talked about weather.
Yeah.
Brian Busby versus Joe Lauria. Which one do you watch? Do you watch news?
Yes, I do.
Do you
Now I'm
watch the
thinking,
weather?
I know both, and I don't know. Do I have to pick one?
You don't have to.
You could pick your own.
You
if
can pick
want.
somebody else. Who do you watch for the news? The weather.
The weather. You know what? Actually, from those two, I think I take Brian anytime.
Brian Busby. He's been around for a while, man.
Yes,
Brian's
he
probably
has.
around the longest
He's an
out of all
OG,
of them.
man.
Yeah,
He's
he
an
is
OG.
definitely.
He's an OG. Okay, Brian
All right.
Busby, man.
Brian Busby. Brad Pitt or Rob Riggle?
Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
So Brad Pitt is from, where's he from?
I think
He's from-
he's St. Joe. I think
Yeah.
right.
St.
I think
Joe,
he's from
Missouri.
St. Joe, Missouri.
Yeah.
And then
And
think
so is
that's what it
Eminem,
was.
by the way.
Oh, really? From St. Joe?
Yeah, the rapper.
Yeah, he started off as one.
But Brad Pitt, he has a story too.
Oh, man.
I'm sure that you know the story, but that he used to be, Pollo Loco in California. You're familiar with that restaurant, right? And he was the mascot for them, the chicken.
Oh,
Wow.
when he was young, he would dress up as a chicken?
Yes, he was a
Is that
big
right?
chicken. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
So.
somebody said, there's a good looking guy under that chicken mask. We need to
Well,
figure
he
out
was
who that is.
discovered, but I can't remember who was it that he who discovered him. But yeah,
That's okay.
he has a story. So
Brad
I like
Pitt,
Brad
man. Maybe
Pitt.
we'll get him on here.
Man,
Hey, why not?
Talk about that chicken outfit.
come on, Brad.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
If you get the Rock, you let me know.
I'm
We
gonna-
get the rock. We gonna let everybody know. Don't worry about that.
if you get the rock, you let us know too.
Oh gosh, yes, I will.
All right, let's switch it up a little bit. Let's do some places, okay? Golden Ox Restaurant or the Hereford House?
I think the Hereford House.
Yeah.
Hereford House.
Mm-hmm. Been there a few times. I really never had a bad experience.
What do you get? What do you get when you go there?
The fillet.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Is that a bacon wrap fillet there? Or just a fillet?
I do without the bacon.
Without the
Yes.
bacon? All right. Fillet from Hereford, man.
Hey, I'll take it. It sounds good.
I'm doing the 22-ounce
Jeez.
porterhouse, man. Boom, nothing else. No baked potato, don't even shit. Just give
Wow.
me that steak.
And don't tell me you like it bloody too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I like it. I like it. My wife says mooing.
Oh,
Mooing.
Lordy.
Like it mooing.
Still mooing?
She says that when I eat my bacon, I make my bacon soft. And she said, "You like your bacon mooing?" I'm like, "Baby, bacons don't move."
Oink, oink.
Yeah. I got you.
That's funny.
I know it was. Sorry, baby.
Country Club Plaza or Town Center Plaza?
Country Club Plaza.
Yeah.
Definitely.
A
Yeah.
lot of history.
Yeah, a lot of history, and at this point, I think there is a little bit more diversity coming down to the plaza than the other side of town.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there is, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, things?
Things? Okay, let's do some things. How about, shit. All right, let's do Westport versus the Crossroads.
Crossroads.
Crossroads, for
Yes.
sure.
Westport is not what it used to be.
Yeah, you're right about that. But did
has
you
changed.
used to go to the Westport?
Yeah, when I first came here, Westport was the place to go.
Yeah,
It was,
yeah.
but it's ruined.
Yeah.
It's so much craziness going on. You know.
Chato Villalobos, we had him.
Hey,
on.
Chato.
Right.
Yeah,
Chato.
the West Side.
And he said it best. He was like, Westport had me in my 20s, but now it's Crossroads as a, he said something like that to that aspect.
But I think everybody can relate to that.
I gotta agree, man. I'm saying, wait.
I remember Westport when they used to have the remember the beach club.
Oh yeah,
I love that place to go salsa on the weekends and
was that Buzzard Beach?
Yes,
Buzzard
yes.
Beach. Yeah, I was there. I would
Well,
go there.
we probably
came out there.
Probably
Shit, man.
No, maybe not.
Maybe, I don't know.
All right, last one. Let's see. Let's do Midland Theater or Uptown Theater?
Midland.
Midland? Wow, that was fast.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, Uptown was, I don't know.
Uptown Funk.
A lot of people like Uptown, but I mean, it's a little bit more urban.
Yep.
Let's start there.
Yep.
Yeah. I was just there a couple of weeks ago. It was pretty cool.
What were you there for?
I went to go see George Clinton and part of P-Funk.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I went to go see, I was Atomic Dog, you remember Atomic Dog, right? That Bow Wow, you can go
Yeah. That was good stuff.
Oh, I know. So, I mean, he's about to be done. I'm sure he's going to retire. He's pretty old.
You know who Chingo Bling is, right?
Oh, yeah.
He's going to be in town.
I know it.
Up north. I'm going to see him.
Yeah.
That Mexican OT.
Chingo Bling, man.
Yes.
We saw him.
Yeah. I remember.
Yeah, I remember.
Last question I have. So, you said you're a dancer.
I love to
You
dance.
love to dance. So, what
Yes.
music you dancing to mostly? Or vibing to, I should say. What music gets you going?
Yeah, all Latin music is literally, but to dance, I love merengue.
Merengue?
Yes.
Okay.
Bachata's salsa too, very artistic, but merengue is like where you just let loose and move it all.
Is there a favorite artist or anything?
Let's see. I love Elvis Crespo.
Oh yeah.
What is that group? Oro Solido. I don't know if you ever heard it, but
I have.
they have some good. They are like the older, yeah. So
Okay.
All right.
Well, listen, Helen, it has been amazing sitting with you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Hearing your story, we so appreciate you as a person, the work you have already done in Kansas City and will continue to do for Latinos, Latinas, everybody out here in Kansas City. You're an inspiration, to say the least.
100%.
thank you, amen to all that, and I am determined to continue and do what I can to help whoever I can impact.
Absolutely.
In whatever I have left in my life, and have fun with it.
You got a whole lot more to go, I imagine.
Amen.
Oh, yeah.
All
And-
right.
And once again, thank you so very much for allowing me to be here and using this platform to, talk to people and influence whoever we can.
Absolutely.
You guys do amazing work as well.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank
Well,
you.
with that, D-Rod, we're going to go ahead and get out of here,
Yeah, man.
everybody. Interrupt KC, JL.
D-Rod, man.
Like, share, follow, subscribe.
And
Check out
comment.
Helen. Yeah, comment,
Yes,
please.
We will be on, you said Wednesday? With this one?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll share.
Yep, we'll get it out there.
Everybody. Peace.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.